My name's Taylor, a Boulder native, and you're watching Baking Boulder. On today's episode, we're going to explore your bread, what's inside it, and why.
Hey everybody, today we're going to make bread. And not just any bread, we're going to make a savory loaf bread, and we're going to use some fresh herbs to do it. Along the way, I'm going to tell you all the scientific facts behind our ingredients, and how these ingredients help make our bread into that loaf that we use at the end.
First things first, what goes into your bread?
So as our yeast sits in the milk and the honey, it's being given all the perfect conditions to ferment. So as it ferments, it's ingesting the starch and the sugars in the honey and the milk. And what it's doing is it's growing, it's feeding, so to speak. And as the yeast feeds, it gives off CO2 gas and ethanol alcohol. Now, don't worry, it's not enough alcohol to do anything to you. Too bad, right? But the bubbles are what's so important. It's not so important now as we feed the yeast, but later when we put the yeast into the dry ingredients and the other wet ingredients, and we let it rise, those CO2 bubbles that the yeast is giving off are what give the bread its shape. It'll help form our loaf for us.
Wet versus dry ingredients.
There are various forms of flour, and which one you use depends on the protein content. Today I'll be using all-purpose flour. All-purpose flour has a protein content ranging from 10 to 12%. Cake flour has a protein content of about 5 to 8%. Just gently shake, let the flour sift on through. Pastry flour has a protein content of 8 to 9%, and bread flour 12 to 14%. Wouldn't be baking if you didn't make a mess. The protein content is equivalent to the gluten content. So the more protein, the more gluten. The stronger that dough is going to be, so it can trap more carbon dioxide. Perfect.
Should I use the whole egg? Should I just use the yolk?
The egg yolks also help to add moisture and protein content to the gluten components in our dough, which will add to the elasticity. The egg whites, on the other hand, act as a leavening agent, and they allow the bread to get just a little bit more extra rise. The process of kneading is done to build up the gluten inside your dough. So as you're rolling the dough and beating it, you're using the heat from your hands to help the gluten. You're stretching the gluten out and you're building it up. As you build your gluten bonds, your dough will become more elastic, which will allow for a better rise before and after baking. Okay everybody, we're back. It's been about an hour that we let our dough rise. We're going to take our towel off. We're going to peel this back. And we've got at least a good 1, 2, maybe even 3 inches rise out of our dough. There we go, let it breathe. Along the surface you can kind of see little patterns where the bubbles were growing. And it's okay if you see that kind of oil around the edge, it just helps the dough not stick to the sides. So what we're going to do now, we're going to lay some more flour down, and then we're going to roll the dough out into a big rectangle in which we'll put our herbs and our garlic. And then we're going to roll it up again and form our roll. So it's been about 35 minutes. You see we have this nice golden crust on the outside, but you still have that spiral, lots of herbs and garlic. It's very aromatic.
Thanks for watching Baking Boulder and learning a little bit about bread. Now you can take those skills and apply them to your own home. Have a great day.